Hello and thank you for tuning in to our bridal bouquet tutorial. We are going to be showing you how to design a garden style bridal bouquet today using a pretty neutral color palette. So we're starting off here by preparing the stems. We've pulled some of the blooms that we're already going to use. And we're going to follow our desired recipe. So we recommend creating a recipe with quantities before designing your bouquet so you have that all set out. This will of course help you with the ordering aspect. So this is also a good time to double check your stems to make sure that they are fully prepared, there is no wilting or browning of any petals, and all of the foliage is removed. So any of the greenery that may still be left on the stems, you may want to just pull that off now. So you'll see here with our collection of flowers, we are using roses, ranunculus, commercial mums, spray roses, yarrow. We've got some butterfly ranunculus, and in terms of the greenery, we're using huck and smilax, which you will see in one moment. We're just starting to pull some more of our filler, which here we're using some white limonium. Limonium is a great filler to use as it is quite full, it's very versatile, and it can also be used as part of your line flowers. So again, here we're just showing you the process of starting to gather all of your materials before you start designing your bouquet. So as you'll see, we just grabbed a piece of chicken wire. We like to use this chicken wire or floral wire, some people call it that as well, in terms of a good structure and a holding piece. So we kind of call this the egg technique. And what this chicken wire will do is it will help to hold the stems in place while we're designing our bouquet. So typically we will cut the chicken wire to create a piece that is proportionate in size to the size of the bouquet that we are going to design. And we're going to form it into an egg shape. So you want it to be similar to an oval, a little bit flat, not too round. It doesn't have to be perfect because this will be hidden by our flowers once we start designing with it. So we recommend just tucking in any edges to the inside so that there are no sharp edges sticking out. You can kind of twist the wire together as well. It will hold its shape better. And there you have it. Next, we trim the pieces of our greenery to fit the bouquet before we start designing. So you'll want to strip off some of the leaves from the bottoms of your pieces of greenery. Your hands will be full soon, so it's best to have your stems prepped as much as you can. Sometimes you'll want to remove some pieces that don't serve you, and those can just be set aside. Sometimes they can be used in other aspects of your wedding or event design, such as a boutonniere or corsage, so just keep that in mind too. It's not always garbage. We're just going to prepare a few more pieces of greenery before we start designing. This greenery here is the huck. And then once you feel like you have enough stems prepared, you can start building your base. So we recommend using the greenery first to create that structure and shape. And notice the hand hold, so holding the bottom of the egg with one hand and weaving your greenery through the wire. So using the huck and the smilax, we are creating a structured base that allows for some free-flowing movement. Sometimes as you design, you may need to pause to grab a few more stems. So this is when the chicken wire egg really does come in handy to keep everything in place. So we're just continuing to add the greenery in to make our shape. Pulling it through the wire. This is where it's really handy. If you need to put down your entire arrangement, you can to grab a few more pieces. If perhaps you decide you need a few more that you haven't pulled from your sources yet. You'll see here Christine turned to the side. That's just because we are looking in the mirror. We do like to design in front of a mirror. It just allows you to see from both sides what your bouquet is looking like. So feel free to use a mirror. That's a great tip. Some people love it. It doesn't always work for everyone, but it's a great way, again, to be able to see the bouquet from the front as you're designing. You'll want to trim the ends of your stems if they are extremely long while you're designing too. It just makes it a bit easier to work with, to handle. Again, make sure you don't cut them too short though. You want to be sure that they will be inside the water in your vase. So next we're going to go in with some of our filler. This is our white limonium that we are going to start feeding in just to fill a few of the gaps with the greenery. And this stem is great to also add a little bit of shape. It can be used as a line flower as well. It does hold very well. You'll see we work from side to side, creating that valley in the middle. Sometimes with your filler stems, you'll also want to cut chunks out of the bunch. If they've come in a bunch, you may not need the entire stem. So feel free to use your scissors, get creative, and make smaller pieces. So once you're satisfied with your base that contains your greenery and your filler, you can start adding a few more filler blooms in there. So here we're going to add some spray roses. These are the white majolica. So typically we start by placing these in the lower portion of the bouquet to start, to fill in some of those gaps and again add to your base that's along the lower end of your bouquet. A note with the white spray roses, they come in bunches. So sometimes you may need to cut a couple of the blooms off if it's looking bulky. Otherwise, if they're in bunches of about 3, sometimes 4, you can just use them as is. And you'll note too, once you start adding your blooms in, it may be a little tricky to pull them through as you've got quite a bit of stems in there already with your base. So you just need to kind of wiggle them through the wire to make sure that they are secure and wiggle down to the location that you want to use them. So we've added one on either side. Now we're going to put one in the lower middle section. Again, creating that valley shape, so we're going to pull it pretty deep. And then we're ready to start going in with our focal flowers. So here we've got some really pretty blush roses. And again, we're going to follow the same pattern by working them into each side first. And note, as we're placing them in, the different heights that we're letting them sit at. We're now working in our toffee colored roses. These are another focal flower. Paying attention to the color patterns and how open our blooms are as well. If your wedding or event is within the next day or so, you'll want to make sure that the blooms are nice and open. So again, you can use those techniques that we talked about with blowing into the bloom or using your hands to spin them or pull the petals apart to get them open. We're now starting to work in another focal flower, which is our commercial mum. We don't typically use mums a lot in wedding bouquets, but this particular one, it was very suited to the season. It's a seasonal fall flower, and it creates a nice shape, and it's a nice size. It's a bigger bloom than a rose, which gives us that variation that we're looking for. Always keep in mind your balance when you're placing your stems. So you'll see we've placed one of the bigger blooms on each side. This keeps it balanced and not feeling too heavy on one side versus the other, but also not looking too spotty. So we group our colors in at least pairs so that it's not looking like a spotty color arrangement. Again, trimming the ends as you design so that they don't get too long, which just can be annoying to work with. So you're going to just continue adding in your focal flowers. And then once you feel like you've got a good amount of your focal flowers done, the color blocking is looking good, you can add in some more line flowers to continue on making the shape that you're looking for. So here we're using some yarrow, again in a very neutral color, and we're going to put it in on the sides just to create a bit more of an accent and different texture in our bouquet. You'll want to adjust the heights too to make sure that you do have some various heights going on, maybe pulling some of the yarrow out. You can also always adjust your focal flowers to hit different heights once you see kind of more of your bouquet put together. And then we're going to move in with some more filler. Here we're using our neutral spray rose. Again, they're in sprays of 3. You'll see here we're adding in some more height with some delicate flowers that create movement. This accents the garden style bouquet that we are doing. So we've got some butterfly ranunculus that we're going to be adding in. These are great for movement and different shapes. They're very delicate. And we like to call this our dancer stems because they tend to dance when you're holding them. Adding in some more dancers here. You can see the movement that they create. Trimming the stems. Finally, we're going to add in our white ranunculus, which is another focal flower. Sometimes we like to add these in towards the end to make them dance and help create the shape of our bouquet on our final steps. They're extremely delicate, so sometimes you have to work really slowly and carefully with these stems when you're inserting them into the bouquet. Sometimes you may want to even add in a floral wire, just a little tip, to help create the shape that you need them to have. Once you've inserted all of your stems that you're going to be working with for your bouquet, take a look and see how you feel about the shape and the color blocking. Here you may want to pull some stems out and rearrange them a little bit, pull some out to hit different heights, create a bit more movement, but maintain the desired shape. So this is our large garden style bouquet design. One of our most popular requested bouquet styles for brides. Once you're satisfied with your finalized bouquet, you can take some floral tape to secure the bouquet together. You're going to wrap it around the bouquet where the hand would hold the bouquet. You're also going to end up placing ribbon on top of this tape so you won't see it. So make it kind of as thin as you can so that the ribbon will cover it once you get to the ribbon step. You'll want to clean your station before taking any ribbon. You don't want to get it dirty. Here we're going to use a piece of silk ivory ribbon that we're going to tie in a loose wrap format. We like it to hang pretty long, so we gauge how long we would like it to hang and then cut a piece. And here we're going to actually use two pieces at different lengths, so make one of the ribbon pieces longer than the other. And then you're simply going to wrap the pieces around the bouquet, tie them in a secure knot, then you're going to take the other piece, usually the shorter piece goes on second, again wrapping it around and tying it into a secure knot. And then intertwine the longer pieces in to knot on top of the shorter pieces, just for extra security and stability with the ribbon, so everything is nice and tight. And then the pieces flow at different heights, and it's the nice sheer silky material, so again creates really soft movement along with the flowers. There you have it. This is our large garden style bouquet with a loose, flowy ribbon. You'll notice the movement, you'll notice the stem length,